Hey guys, welcome to Piano Rogues. I'm Ari.
And I'm Alaire.
Today we are reviewing
the Rondo Alla Turca by Mozart. The Rondo Alla Turca is the third movement from the Sonata in A major, K331. And at the time that Mozart was writing this sonata, Turkish music, namely music from Turkish military marching bands, was really popular. He actually wrote the third movement to imitate the sounds from these popular Turkish bands. So in this piece, there are a lot of grace notes and things that are meant to imitate the sounds of the bells that were so much a part of that music's sound.
what people don't really think about or realize about classical music.
What were we saying? The thing that people don't understand?
About classical music is that at the time it was the progressive edge of the music world.
I mean, it was what people were listening to. It was what was popular.
Yeah. It wasn't stuffy back then. It was not considered stuffy back then.
A typical rondo would often have either 5 sections or 7 sections. The 5-section rondo would be an A, B, A, C, A, I think. Abaca. I actually remember them better as words than as the letters. And then the 7-section rondo is an abacaba, which is A, B, A, C, A, B, A. And then you have the coda at the end. This one is very different than a typical rondo, indeed.
Do you have any fun little anecdotes about Mozart?
Well, I mean, just some stuff that people probably already know about him. I mean, he was a child prodigy. His dad really wanted him to be a musician and was helping him learn music and instrument playing and composition, and was having him perform all over the place as a small child.
Sounds an awful lot like Beethoven, doesn't it?
It kind of does, yeah. Or I guess Beethoven sounds like Mozart.
Yes.
Other way around. Time periods.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I think Beethoven's dad did model a lot of his ideas off of Mozart's life.
Off of Mozart's upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Mozart genuinely had a gift. I mean, he had this unbelievable ability to just come up with stuff. His father really encouraged and exploited it.
Do you know if he had a good relationship with his father? Or?
I don't know too much about their relationship, no.
We might have to do an episode on Mozart like we did on Beethoven.
Yeah, that would be fun. We could do that.
What makes this piece special?
It is a rondo, which means you are going to have the same musical sections coming back around.
Kind of like pop music.
Yes, actually. That's what rondo means. It comes back around. This piece is actually, it's got a bunch of sections.
What are the sections of this piece? This portion of this piece?
This portion of this piece. Well, okay. The overall form of this piece is that it is a rondo. In this particular rondo, we actually get all the way through section E. We have A, B, C, D, and then E. And then we get C again. And then I believe we get A, B, and C. And then we get the coda. So C actually happens a total of 3 times in this particular rondo. That's what a rondo is. We keep on coming back to have the same section repeated over again.
Like pop music.
Yep, like pop music.
Should we start at the top?
Yeah, let's start with section A.
We have Alla Turca?
Well, yeah, that's where we get the title of the piece from. It tells us that this piece is meant to sound like Turkish music, like I was saying before. And allegretto means that we are supposed to play it a little bit fast. A lot of people like to play this very fast.
Oh dear.
But Mozart actually said
a little bit fast.
Okay.
And then we have a metronome marking.
Yep. So the quarter note should equal 126. And I believe allegro actually starts at 120. So this is just a little bit faster than minimum allegro speed, which I guess would be allegretto.
So we have time signature.
Okay, the time signature in this piece is a march time signature. We have 2 quarter notes in every measure, or the equivalent. So in the left hand, we've got our eighth notes. 2 eighth notes equals a quarter note. In the right hand, let's look at this measure over here. This measure, we've got 2 full groups of 16th notes. So we can see that those 2 groups of 16th notes equal 2 quarter notes. There we are. 2/4.
I have been very distracted.
You've been claimed by a pupper.
She's very excited. Okay, and we have slurs.
Yeah. This long slur is not only telling us that we should play that group of 16th notes legato, it's also kind of showing us that that is a phrase. Mozart wants us to play that as if it is a phrase.
So remind what legato means.
Legato means smoothly connected. There should be no gap between the notes.
So why do we have the time signature? Oh, that's not the time signature.
Nope, those are finger numbers.
Okay. Fingering
So
numbers.
remember, most of the time, numbers written above notes or below notes, like let's say there were some notes or finger numbers down here, this would probably be 1 and 3 if we were to write the fingering in. Numbers that are intended for fingers are written on the outside of the stabs, and numbers that are meant to apply to other things, whatever those other things might be, are generally written in between the stabs in that area.
Are you getting a good fan going over there? Yeah.
Whack, 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 whack.
She's very happy today. Okay.
But that's just a generalization. That's not always 100% the case. Every now and then, like here, you'll see finger numbers that are written more right next to the notes. You kind of just have to know
They
what
had
you're...
room, or were they trying to squeeze it?
I'm not really
think they
sure why
had room.
they did. I don't know why.
Oh.
And look, they
Is
gave
that
us
another little
yeah, they gave us the finger for the first grace note there, right underneath the note.
So grace
Scratch
notes.
what I said. They put finger numbers wherever they feel like it.
They have given us all the options for just so we could tell you about them. We have grace notes.
Yep, the grace notes are telling us that they need to be played very quickly, right at the start of the beat. They're not really counted in terms of counting.
They're smashed in.
They're just kind of, yeah,
Just
just kind of squish them in there.
why is there a natural with it?
Because throughout the rest of the beginning of this piece, you see how we've got all these little sharp signs every time we had a G. Okay, there was a G right here, and there was a G right here, and they had sharp signs. This natural sign in front of this little grace note G is kind of like a courtesy, not this one. Don't make this one a sharp.
Okay, we have dots
Dots.
on top.
Okay, so dots above or below notes mean to play the notes separated from each other. This is known as staccato.
As opposed to slur.
As opposed to a slur, right. Staccatos and slurs are opposite markings from each other.
And that's just a rest.
Yes, this little guy is an eighth rest.
We got a little
Is a caret.
greater than sign.
It is not a greater than sign.
That note is greater than all the others.
Well, it's an accent mark, and it means that that note should be brought out more than the other ones.
So it is a greater than sign.
But it's called an accent mark. When you're playing music, we call them accent marks.
That one is special. That's
So,
a special
yeah,
note.
that's a special note. He's more equal than the other notes. So this one right here, and this one, and this one,
And that one.
and that one, and that one, and that one. Those are all accent marks, and they mean that I should give it just a little bit of extra push when I play it.
Why is there a line?
So that is called a tenuto mark. I'm going to circle the tenutoed notes. When you put a tenuto mark on a note, it can mean a couple of different things. Sometimes tenuto marks are put over a long series of notes in a phrase to mean that you need to bring them out as if they are a melody.
Would they then look like multiple dashes or one big long line?
They'd look like multiple dashes. They would all be short like this.
Just checking.
That's a good question. That's a legitimately good question. And in that case, it means that you should bring those notes out over everything else that's going on as if they are the melody. Basically, that's the composer saying, hey, this is melody stuff, do this. In this case, it probably just means that this quarter note needs to be actually held for the duration of a full quarter note. Don't cut it short.
And then we come to bar lines in the middle of everywhere. Is this repeat?
Yes. So the reason why this double bar line is in the middle of the measure, that's a little weird.
That's why I said
yeah, it's a little weird, is because this section, this A section that I've been scribbling all over, actually gets repeated.
Everywhere with pink.
Lots of squibbles. Normally, bar lines go at the end of measures, right? But if you notice, this piece began with an incomplete measure. There's only 4 16th notes in this first measure. When this happens, when you only have 1 or 2 beats in a piece that's supposed to have 3 beats per measure, for example, we call that a pickup measure. And the notes within the pickup measure are called pickup notes. In this case, we're in 2/4, so it's supposed to have 2 beats in every measure, and instead we've only got 1 beat in that measure. So here is the missing beat. So this is where the section goes back to. We cut it off right there, and we go back to the beginning.
That piano, I think, is what's hiding underneath that.
Yeah, all my squiggly-doos. There's a piano mark in there. It tells us that this is supposed to be played piano.
Okay.
Or softly.
There's an A.
That actually is probably referring to something at the bottom of the page. Yep. Okay. So it's actually telling us how to do the grace notes. So we look up here. You can see that A is right underneath that first grace note, and it's telling us that the grace note, or embellishment, is supposed to begin on the beat. So not before the beat, on the beat.
So you're not squishing it in.
No, you are squishing it in, just not before. You're squishing it in on the beat.
Squish.
Because there's actually 2 different ways you can deal with grace notes. You can either have them start at the very beginning of the beat and just kind of smush them in and have them steal some of the time from the main note, or you can put them right before the beat and have the main note that they're attached to actually starting on the beat.
So your main note would be delayed.
Yes. But like I said, it's very smushed, so you're not going to notice so much that it's been delayed.
Okay, so we're on section B?
Yes. So this was the A section. Hang on. Let me label that for us. That was the A section, okay?
So now we're starting section B.
Yep. Here is the B section. Okay, so this section is different from the A section. It sounds different. It looks different. Instead of having a melody that is lots and lots of 16th notes and 8th notes and stuff, it starts out with a melody that's in thirds. These notes are 3 notes apart from each other. We have C, and we have E, and in between the C and the E, there would have been a D. So that's C, D, E. That's a third. Okay, this guy right here, this is a D and an F, and in between them would have been an E, so you have D, F, or D, E, F, and that's another third. So it starts out with a melody in thirds, and then we got some cute little 16th note doodads, but it's just a different texture from what we had right at the beginning of the piece in the A section.
Oh, you have a little.
Little what?
Is it?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
That's a tiny little slur. It means that these 2 notes, the B and the G, should be slurred together.
Okay, it just was kind of weirdly placed to make it look like it was something different.
It would have looked more awkward to put the slur there, because it would have been a little bit confusing about whether we were slurring that D down to the G, because that D is actually a quarter note and is supposed to be sustained. So, in the B section, like I was saying, we have this melody of 8th notes in thirds, and I just kind of want to point out real quick, talk about how 8th notes that are joined together in groups they're joined together with a single beam, and 16th notes are joined together with double beams.
Okay, random question that we haven't talked about before and probably doesn't matter as far as reading music, but squiggly-doo at the beginning here. Why? Why not just
squiggly-doo?
the bracket?
Oh, you mean the brace. This is called a brace, I think, to show that this is a single instrument, single performer. But
So does four hands have two of them?
yes, so four hands music would be joined like that. There would be a continuation of the bar line at the beginning, and then it would have separate braces for each.
Does this have both an accent mark and a tenuto?
I believe it does, yes.
Really, that one right there.
Yes.
Very that one.
This one extremely. Most especially. Chief among all notes.
Why don't they just get it a crown?
I don't know. Check this out. This one has a tenuto below it.
Why?
And an accent above it. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm so confused.
But
It
you just-
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Watch out.
I don't know why you have tenutos and accents as separate anyways.
Well, you could have an accented note that isn't supposed to be sustained for its full value.
Oh, so the tenuto means full value.
Mm-hmm.
And the accent means...
Give it extra oomph.
Okay. Is that a...
So this is Mezzo Piano here. That means medium soft. Not completely soft, only medium soft.
So it's a little bit louder than the previous section.
Yes.
Because it was in piano.
And also, I would like to point out that the B section briefly returns us to the A section. Right there. Right there, we have a little bit of A section again.
How rude.
I know. And it's back to piano, or soft. So that's kind of like a little sneaky A section.
We have crescendo.
Yep, that means get louder. Okay, so this crescendo is going to go until we get to this forte right there. And then this is called a forte piano because we actually have a forte with a piano right after it. So this means, bam, be loud, but then soft.
And we have a B.
Okay, so this is telling us there is something to look at down at the bottom of the page again.
So
Go
it's
down,
kinda like
we find
asterisks
B. Yeah. Yeah, but these are letter coded so that we know which one we're supposed to look at. So here's B. It actually writes out for us their suggested way to perform that trill.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually not sure if that's how I play it. I don't think that I play it that way.
Gee, the things you learn about the music you've been playing.
Well, okay, but to be fair to me, I have never seriously studied this piece. I've only ever really sight read through it for funsies. So, in fairness to myself, I'm not going to be too hard on myself about that because I haven't studied it for reals.
Something funky going on with this here.
So remember, we have 2 beats per measure. Here's the first beat. It's a quarter note. The second beat is this fancy doodad. We've got a dotted 8th note that's taking up most of the beat, 3/4 of the beat. And then we have a trill, so that fancy dotted 8th note is being trilled. And then at the very end, that is how we're supposed to end the trill. At the end of the trill, we play, notice that there are 3 beams. They're kind of dark and smushed together, but there's actually 3 beams there. And that means that those are 32nd notes. So those 2 little 32nd notes fit inside that last quarter amount of the beat that was left over from the dotted 8th note.
Fun.
Yup. But notice we have another incomplete measure here. This is only one
Because
beat.
we started on
on an incomplete measure.
Because they've been rude from the beginning.
Oh, I know. I'm so good.
Oh no! We're changing signatures.
Yep, changing key signatures. We are no longer in A minor at this point. We now have 3 sharps, which puts us in A major.
And they repeat it here. Why do they repeat it?
So this is to give us plenty of time to notice it. In fact, a lot of times, if there would be a key signature change on the next line, they'll put the key signature change at the end of the previous line to make sure that you notice it when it happens. Does that mean I always notice? No, it does not. Here it is again.
I would have such a hard time reading music with the key signatures because that categorizes. The categories are a problem.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, it's... When I was learning to play music, as a much younger musician, key signatures and changing key signatures within a piece were much harder for me back then than they are now. And it's not like I never make mistakes anymore, like I was just saying. I'm not always going to notice if there was a key signature change. Sometimes I'll get like 3 or 4 measures in and be like, this is sounding funky, what's going on? And then I'll realize, oh, I was supposed to change keys here. Uh-oh. And then I'll go back and fix it. But, oops, I'm sorry.
Oh. She tried.
I'm sorry, baby. Hi. Hi, baby.
Does that mean we are at a new section?
Yep, this is in fact the beginning of the C section. And no, not C section as in surgical procedure. So here we have the C section, and once again, the texture is changing, the melody is changing, the music in this section will sound different from the previous 2 sections. Oh, and the key signature changed, that too.
10?
That stands for tenuto.
Oh! Why?
For some reason, either Mozart himself or the editor felt the need to tell us that we have to make this... Actually, you know what?
You think it's referring to the whole thing and that's why it's different?
Maybe. But I do notice that they put it here.
Mm-hmm.
And also here. For some reason, they felt the need to say tenuto with a word instead of with the musical symbol.
And here.
Oh, well, but that's in the left hand, so it's like the same.
Is it? If it's only in one hand, if it says it here, you do both? Or
Okay, fair point. Probably no. Fair point.
Okay, and we have...
That's a forte. It tells us that we should play loud, which should be in contrast to most of the previous 2 sections where it was mostly either soft or medium soft.
And we have a C.
Where's
For
that? Oh, yes.
Grace notes?
Yep, that is for the grace
notes.
notes. It says, play the bass with the C sharp in the right hand, accent it strongly, and so proceed throughout the entire theme. So what they're saying is this right here, the beginning of the grace note, starts at the same time as my right hand plays these C sharps. So in other words, once again, the embellishment is starting on the beat, not before the beat. Okay, so all of these little grace note doodads, these are super duper fun to play in this section. They are one of those embellishments, one of those things that I was talking about before, that are meant to really sound like the Turkish music that Mozart was trying to imitate. When you play them, you want to try to make them very crisp and active. These are the grace notes. You want to make sure that you're not ending up with them sounding like mush. You want them to be very, very crisp. In a perfect world, all of those will sound very strong and accented and crisp, and pretty much as percussive and bell-like as you can make them.
Yes, this is not a practiced piece currently.
Yeah, this one's not practiced yet. Shall we go on to the D section?
Sure.
Okay.
And we're back to piano.
Piano. Yes.
That's what I said.
You said pano.
I said piano.
I'm pretty sure you said it differently that second time. Anyway, we are...
Big slur.
Yes, big slur. And we still have all our 3 sharps. That's worth noting. And look at that lovely stuff going on in the right hand. All those 16th notes. Super fun.
Quick question.
Yeah?
Why did they stop the slur there instead of just going whoop all the way across?
Oh, because they want it to sound like different phrases.
Okay.
A comma in the sentence. In the left hand, you'll note we have these little 2-note slurs. and then we have accents above the other notes. Usually when you have a two-note slur, you want the first note in the slur to be a little bit stronger and the second note to be a little bit weaker. So although it's not written, there's kind of an understanding of a bit of an accent on the first note in a two-note slur.
I do not appreciate that.
What?
Unwritten rules.
Well, that's why you generally would ask somebody or have a teacher. So common practice. That's usually how it goes. I guess that's also why they have us. I'm giving away all the secrets.
Mass secrets. First, crescendo marks rather than the...
Yep, so we have a little crescendo and a little decrescendo, also known as diminuendo.
So that would create a swell.
Yep, little...
Are those natural signs?
Yes, those are natural signs, and the reason why they need to be there is actually because we had an E sharp back here, and E sharp back here. And so when we get to these E's, they are basically just being nice to us, even though we're in a new measure, and technically they would already be natural just because we're already in a new measure. They're being like, okay, just pointing this out to you, no more E's, no more E sharps.
And the E sharps are not part of the key signature sharps.
Yeah, in the key signature we have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp.
There's another tenuto.
Yep, tenuto at the end of this. Pretty much it for the D section, and then we get to the E section.
And every section it looks like is repeating?
Yes, every section of this piece repeats.
We also have a...
It's just one and it's a forte, and it means to play loud.
So this whole section is forte.
Yes, but keep in mind, as I've said in previous music notation episodes, even though it gives you a dynamic that kind of applies to an entire piece or to an entire section, that doesn't mean every single note is going to be the same volume all the way through. That would be boring. So a lot of times for the beginning of a phrase, you want to start a little softer and then get a little bit louder as the phrase goes on, and then get a little softer at the end. Think of it as the natural inflection that you use in the sentences and the words that you say. You don't make every single word on the same pitch in your voice. You don't make every single word the same volume. Sometimes we make certain words in a sentence a little bit louder or more accented to bring out their importance, or just to give the thought shape.
Emphasis.
Emphasis, yes. Here we have a couple of two-note slurs again. I thought I saw a second one. No, maybe it was just that one. But here's another two-note slur. They actually did put the accent on that first one for us. It was nice of them.
We have an eyebrow at the end.
Oh, that's because it's a little slur. This is telling us that the slur was actually supposed to start there, but it was at the very end of the line. So it's this slur right here.
But there's no notes
starting
to connect.
There. Yep, right here, this one. So the end of this slur is there, and the beginning of this slur is also there. This note is both the end of the previous phrase and the beginning of the next phrase. Ari doesn't like that.
Okay, so are we got a sneaky A section again?
Nope. No, I know the A section is generally piano in this piece, but in this case, this is actually the D section comeback, a little sneaky repetition of that. And I believe the previous time when we had it, yep, it was soft back there too.
There we have another one of the eyebrows.
Yeah, because once again, the end of this phrase is the beginning of the next phrase. I'm very sorry, Ari. It's not my doing.
But we have crescendo to crescendo.
Get even louder. So we're supposed to get louder as we play this measure, and then we get even louder starting right here at the beginning of this beat.
So then this middle one would stay the loudness.
Yeah, approximately. And then this right here, we're supposed to, this is the point to which we were crescendoing, this note right here. And we can tell that because that's where they put an accent mark.
Oh, okay. That is an accent mark,
It
not
is
a
an
mini.
accent mark, yeah.
I was gonna say,
So-
wait a minute.
So it's like that's the top of the hill, and after that point, we start going down the hill because then we have a diminuendo or a decrescendo. And then we get all the way back down to piano. Oh, tenutos at the end of the section again. Guess what? This is the first time we come back to the C section.
So we're back to C.
Yep. So this C section is a direct carbon copy of the previous C section. And we're on to the next page.
Boop, boop.
So after that C section, we come back to A. And A is once again piano.
This is the B section?
This is the B section. Very good.
Because I remember the
Mezzo Piano. The
not to be confused with the umbop.
Oh my god.
No.
shush.
You're gonna have that every time you see it from here out. out.
So unless I'm mistaken, this is a direct carbon copy of the original A section, and this is going to be a direct carbon copy of the original B section, including that forte piano thing that's going on there.
Is
And
there a
then we
Z?
got the trill. That's a sforzando piano, I guess. I guess I couldn't really see the Z in the other one. Maybe I'd scribbled too much.
Possibly.
So it's a sforzando piano. It means it's even more accident than a regular forte. It's big.
Why are these segregated? Why are those fenced in?
Okay. Do you remember how they had the key signature change at the very end of the line the previous time that this happened?
Uh-huh.
So this is like putting this at the very end of the line.
It's just a key signature change?
Just a key signature change.
Oh.
So whereas before we were playing the C section with octaves, like that, now we're going to play them as broken octaves. And yeah, that's kind of tricky. So it is just a little bit different from the previous C sections we have had. Here we have what is known as a first ending. The first ending is what we do the first time through the section. When we get to this repeat mark, and we go back and we play the C again, C section again, then when we come through the second time, instead of playing the first ending, we're going to skip over it this time, and we're going to play the second ending instead, which leads us into the coda.
What is coda?
Coda means tail, or the end of the piece. It's like, we've had all these other sections in the piece. The coda is something you're only going to hear once. It's the end of the piece. It's like the final bit. It's going to sound different from all the rest of the music as well. So this is the beginning of the coda. The coda actually has an accompaniment that's kind of similar to what we had in the C section. We've got these grace notes, which if we remember from before, we were instructed that the grace notes should start on the beat with the notes that the right hand is playing. Oh, look! We have a little marking that's going to tell us how to do this. Let's go to the bottom of the page and take a look.
It's also
Yes, it's also which means forte. We are instructed that we should sustain the half note C sharp, but otherwise play the chords alike in both hands. Let the hands begin exactly together and attack the highest note together. Again, I'm not 100% sure that's how I have previously played this.
Well, this is good prep for you.
If I was going to practice and study this piece, I would probably be more careful with that in the future. So these three guys that are stacked together like that are supposed to be played along with those guys that are all by their lonesomes. Now, why Mozart didn't just write this as grace notes in both hands, I don't know. I don't know, but he didn't. And so we are supposed to line these guys up together, the first one with the first one, second one, the second one, etc., 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 until we get to the last note, and then we sustain that C sharp while we are playing those eighth notes in the left hand.
Because apparently we had to be difficult. Same key signature as...
Same key signature as the C section.
Which is not an operation in music.
Thank you, Ari.
We have squiggles.
Yes, those squiggly-doos, they tell us to arpeggiate, or play one at a time like a harp, the notes, which is exactly what we're doing with the grace notes.
I do not appreciate.
I know.
So rude. I swear, we need to republish things with the smart way of writing them just to make it easier to play. Jeez.
These are kind of fun right here. We have these little 2-note slurs. Remember what I said before, we want to put a little bit of an accent on the first slur and then a little bit weaker on the second note in the slur. And then we have these little staccato marks. So those are supposed to be slightly separated as we play. Okay, so we have this little 2-note slur with a staccato. So when we get to the C sharp, we let go of it quickly so that it's staccato, and then the notes afterwards are staccato. So we got... And so basically that's what it should sound like when you play it. So then if we go ahead a little bit more, we've got another little instructional thingy. The Appoggiaturas. So this guy right here is supposed to be played with the other 2 notes in the chord. So basically what that's telling us is that instead of playing the D before we play the C sharp, A, and E, we're supposed to play the D along with the A and the E, and then the C sharp will be slightly after. To illustrate this, let me show you in slow motion what we are doing. This is not how to do it. Do not play the D and then play the chord. Play the D with the chord and then add the C sharp to it, like so. So we go like that, not like that. This, not that. Got it? Good.
More squiggly-doos.
More squiggly-doos where?
Squiggle.
Yep, those are more arpeggiated chords. These will be treated exactly the same way. These right here, same as these. So this is basically all repetition. And then I'm guessing for this right here,
Yep.
those, that we should treat them the same as this. Let me go down and double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to tell us. Yeah, as at B. The Appoggiaturas as at B. Same thing. These grace notes, I'm pretty sure we would treat them the same way that we're treating these. Same thing here, treat the same way, treat the same way. Have this start with this, not before it. And then, ooh, more loud. So we've been loud, but now we're more loud. Oh, actually, I kind of skipped over something. Here we go. So for a little while, we are supposed to be soft in the middle of the coda section. Then we go back to forte. And then down here, we're supposed to be even louder now. And then...
You sound like a horse. It's startled.
Fortissimo, which is very loud.
That about covers it.
I think so.
Don't forget to...
Please like and subscribe to our YouTube.
No guilt. Thanks for letting us steal your screens for a while.
Stay rogue.